Hello everyone, what's going on? Stuff Gorilla here. I'm bringing to you a Monarch deck profile. This is more of a showcase. So where you are right now is you are on YGOBudgetHub. This is a collaboration with a group of my friends. We've all decided to make a shared YouTube channel regarding Yu-Gi-Oh content, mostly doing deck profiles for now, right now. You should be able to make any of these archetypes for roughly $100 or less. Right, so let me start this off. I run Monarchs. I love Monarchs. I'll try to give you a brief rundown of why I like this deck. My first competitive archetype was Gravekeepers, and I'm so very happy to see them get more support. I can't wait to run them. I always went to my locals. I never topped or did well. I dabbled with like Fire Fist and Burning Abyss. But Monarchs was the first structure deck that I ever picked up, and I tried it for myself. And back then, a meta that was ruled by Cosmos, Shaddolls, and Burning Abyss alone, this was like the first archetype that I picked up, and that I can actually compete with that current meta. So right off the bat, I was like, this archetype is amazing, and I want to keep it alive as much as possible. My Monarchs are very happy in these yellow sleeves, and speaking of these yellow sleeves, these sleeves are Dragon Shield Mini. I really enjoy KMC Hypermats. Those are like the definitive card sleeves. But these Dragon Shield, the 60 Japanese card sleeves, these are like a #1 contender. Like, these are really very good. They are up there with those KMC. So if anyone's a KMC purist, so am I. But when I tried these sleeves, they're amazing. So thank you to my wonderful girlfriend who purchased me these sleeves. The pink ones are going for Gravekeepers. I'll probably get blue for Cyber Dragons, but that's a different story for a different day. So thank you for bearing with me. Let me bring to you guys my idea of Monarchs. So, and forgive the glare. I'm just trying to do this, I don't know, not in a traditional sense or anything that's like production-wise or anything like that. Some of the common stuff you see online. Anyway, so this here's Darkest Diablos. 2 Darkest Diablos, 3 Erebus, 2 Mega Caius, 1 Ether. All of these guys are level 8s. All of them are targets for trade-in for your draw 2, for your consistency since Pantheism is hit. The best cards to use trade-in on are Erebus and Darkest Diablos. If you have let's say a Monarch spell and trap card in your hand, but you have the means to summon Erebus, I always like to use trade-in to draw. Well, I'll give you an example. This is what happened to me earlier today when I was online. I activated trade-in, I pitched Erebus for the cost. I drew 2. I pulled into another trade-in. Then I had Monarch Prime in my hand. Use the effect of Erebus to put him back in my hand to then activate the second trade-in. So then I ended up drawing 4 off that turn and then summoned a monster and went from there. So trade-in is really very good with Erebus and Darkest Diablos, absolutely. Mega Caius for the Banish effect, who doesn't love that? And then your Ether. I have 3 Majesty's Fiend. Hand traps really do hurt this deck a lot. I mean, more than anything I've ever seen. 2 Vanity's Fiend for your special summoning. If you ever get the opportunity to get both of these guys on the field with March of the Monarchs, it's almost a solid game over for your opponent. Almost. Kaijus do exist. 3 Kaiser Vorse Raider, this guy over here. This guy is your Cyber Dragon of the deck. Special summon him. Use the effect of Domain, lower the cost of any of your level 8s, level 6, and then make your tribute, or go for your Majesty's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend. Another thing with Majesty's Fiend is that you can use him in conjunction with Tenacity because it meets the requirements of 2,400 attack, 1,000 defense, and then you can search all of your other supporting cards. 3 Idios. Just be warned that his effect is mandatory. Gives you for your extra tribute. Just 1 Idia. We don't have enough light targets to make this like a chaos build. Otherwise, I would be throwing in BLS like you wouldn't believe. But with the consistency with Pantheism being only to 1, unfortunately, you got to work with what you have. So I really wanted to structure this deck to fight the anti-meta, #1, but secondly, to work with what draw power we do have. So with Pantheism still at 1, I did just explain trade-in. We also have a Lure of Darkness to 3, and most of your targets are going to be dark, so you can use a Lure of Darkness also for further draw power. Tenacity is for your search, only 2. 3 bricks, it does, unless Pantheism's at 3. 2 domain, sorry, lost my train of thought. This is Foolish, Pantheism, Stormforth, March, and then Monster Reborn. For my defensive traps, I've got 2 Solemn Strike, 2 Monarch Direct, which is a skill drain, and then 1 Prime. Now, you don't have to use Strike if you don't want to. You can use something like Drowning Mirror Force or Torrential or whatever it is that it may be. I just like this card more to disrupt my opponent's plays. Not necessarily just to focus on hand traps, because that's why I'm running 3 of Majesty's Fiend. I can understand some people might find some redundancies, like, why would you run 3 Majesty's Fiend? You already have 2 Erupt. Isn't that technically the same thing to a degree? Or why, if you have 3 Vanity's Fiend, why would you even use 3 Field Spell? You gotta understand, Monarchs don't have that unbelievable draw power and then recycle the draw power. Okay? And what I mean by that is you had Prime. You can say you activate Pantheism, you pitch Prime for the cost. Okay, you banish it. You can then search. Okay? So you got Edea here. You use the effect, you take that Pantheism, put it back to your hand, use the draw power again. It was incredible. It was absolutely insane. But I mean, until this card comes back to 3, then you understand. But anyway, like I was saying, Monarchs brick in one of 2 ways. You're either going to brick, pulling spells and traps in your tribute fodder, but no tributes, or you pull all your tributes, no spells and traps, no tribute fodder. That's just how it's how it works, unfortunately. I hold my breath with every ban list, hoping that something about that will improve, but unfortunately it doesn't. It's just what we have, and we have to work with it. Onto the side deck, and I'm really going to try to keep this video short and sweet. I don't need to go like 30 minutes into it. I can attempt a test hand if you guys want. Well, not if you guys want. I'm going to do me a test hand because I feel confident about my build, and I'm proud of my accomplishments. Thank you very much. Let me go to the side deck. Hold on. Okay, so this is my current side deck. It's just a bundle of ideas, to be honest with you. Let me see if I can zoom in, get a little better picture quality on this thing. Okay, much better. All right, so 2 Jinzo and 1, the 3rd Vanity's Fiend. Depending on what my opponent is playing, if I want to take out 1 Majesty's for Vanities, run 3 Vanities, I can do that. 2 Jinzo, because I don't sleep on Paleo, and I don't sleep on Altergeist. Both of those archetypes are incredibly difficult matchup for me. 2 Called by the Grave, 2 Twin Twisters, 2 Mausoleum of the Emperor, which really does help when your opponent is running Rivalry or Gozen Match. So if you don't have a Monarch or a Tribute Summon monster on the board, use a field spell, pay the cost in life for like 1,000 life points for your 6 tributes and 2,000 for your 8 and higher. And you can normal summon that monster. So if my opponent, flips a Gozen Match or flips a Rivalry of the Warlords, and I'm going next, I'm going to be like, okay, well, what can I do to get over this problem? And Mausoleum of the Emperor is the best thing to do, especially if you're playing Paleo, and you flip that card. Well, I'm not tribute summoning, I'm just going to normal summon. And since I don't control anything, and this is the first card that I have on the field, I'm going to pay cost in life, and then, what do you know, I'm going to beat you. 2 Light Imprisoning Mirror, that's mostly for Trickstar, but now that Cyber Dragons is coming out, I'm definitely not moving that. 3 Curse of Darkness, which is for your Trickstar Sky Striker and or Sky Strikers, because this card really does hurt them. And Imperial Order is a definite KO. You win. Okay, so that's the side deck. We already went through the main deck. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to do a quick pile shuffle and do a test hand for you guys. Sorry for the jump cuts. Next time I'm recording, we will We're going to do this. All right, stay tuned right there. Don't move. Okay, so I did myself a very good pile shuffle really quickly, so let's actually do ourselves a test hand, yeah? All right, so let's try this out. 1, Kaiser Voice Reader, Erupt, Majesty, Solemn Strike, Erupt. Well, this hand it's a brick, but it's not too serious of a brick. So if this was going turn 1, say for example we're going turn 1, you special summon Voice Raider, you tribute him for Majesty's Fiend, you set 1 Erupt, 1 Solemn Strike past turn. Okay? That's how that would go. That is the first play that I would absolutely do. Let me try and zoom out here. No, out. Zoom out, Lord Vader, zoom out. There we go. Okay. Let's try another turn. What do we got? Prime, 4, 5, and because we're going turn 2, 6. Awesome. Special summon, tribute, normal summon. Okay. So this is what we got on the field. So now our opponent can't hand trap us. Tenacity, we reveal Erebus. We're gonna search for Pantheism, of course. I'm going to tell you why in a second, if I can grab it. Oh, there you are. Add Pantheism to hand. This is now in grave. Graveyard's over there. This was the other test hand that we're not touching. Okay. So, right. Activate Pantheism, prime for cost. So let's turn that around, turn you around. I'm doing this with one hand, I'm sorry. I'll show you guys a test hand. Draw 2 for effect. Okay. You guys are now in graveyard. My opponent can't stop me. Oh, here's what we would do next. We would banish Pantheism. That's gone. We would search for, if I were you, the opponent, because we're very smart Yu-Gi-Oh players, we're going to search for, we will send, I think I already used Tenacity, didn't I? Okay, we would send March, and we're going to look for 2 Domain. Now, this kind of puts your opponent in a very difficult situation, because what this does is that this says, I'm giving you the option of either locking yourself out of your extra deck, okay, or I'm giving you the option to give my Monarchs protection from spells and traps. So it's going to really depend on what your opponent does. Just for the sake of the scenario, let's say our opponent does not want to lock themselves out of their extra deck. So they give us March. They will protect us from spells and traps. Sure, why not? So now this is in hand, okay? Next thing we're going to do, we're going to activate. All right? And if we want, we could foolish for, I don't know what. Well, not at this time, I wouldn't. I could allure, sure. Say we go for allure. And we draw 2 more. Okay. Well, all right, so here's what we got. We already have 1, so we can banish an Erebus. That's gone, and here would be our hand. And then if I wanted to activate another allure for more consistency, more draw power, I very well could. Here's what I would have. Let's say, okay, what do I want to banish? How about we just banish the Squire, just for the sake of it? I need to tell you guys something. Monarchs play a very heavy anti-meta game, okay? This is not going to be a deck where you try to outpace your opponent. Your opponent is going to be trying to go 100 miles, like 0 to 100 as quickly as possible. They're doing a sprint, and all you're doing is walking, okay? You're going to walk to the finish line. You're not going to sprint. You're not going to jog. It is your job. It is your primary objective as a Monarch player with this anti-meta build that I have is to set the pace of the match. I'm not saying purposely play slow to burn time off the clock. No. With cards like Majesty's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend, with cards such as Erupt, which is a searchable skill drain off of Tenacity, when you have cards such as March of the Monarchs and Domain to really heavily lock down your opponent, play this like the final boss in a video game, okay? It's one guy or one card or one person or one effect that fights everything else. That's how a final boss works. You got your final boss. It might come in different stages, like different effects. Sure, there might be a Vanity stage. There might be a Majesty's stage. But it's one boss monster at a time. And that is how you can accurately set the pace. If I tribute for Erebus, for example, a dark monster, sure, I can special summon my Darkest Diablos from the grave or hand. With that card being tribute summon, I still have the protection of March. I still have the protection of Erupt, and I can still lock you out with Domain. You know what I'm saying? That's how you're supposed to play Monarchs. And this going turn 2 hand or this play that I have, that's actually pretty solid. I'll take that any day. Yeah? So if you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, leave them down in the descriptions. I am Stuffed Gorilla, and I love Monarchs. Peace out.